Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to the monthly meeting of the Atoka Board of Mayor and Alderman. My name is this on? Yeah.
Get your gavel out there. That's what you got. Oh, that's what you do.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming to the monthly meeting of the Atoka Board of Mayor and Alderman. My name is Mayor Barry Aiken. On behalf of the board and the town of Atoka staff, I'd like to welcome you here tonight. Tennessee law gives Tennesseans the right to attend town meetings and to observe how your government is doing business. We appreciate that each of you have taken time out of your own personal schedules to be here and see how your town government works. When you came into the room tonight, there were two sign-up sheets in the back right by the door there. One of them is just to record your attendance at the meeting. And if you do have something that you would like to bring to the board's attention tonight, there's a sign-up sheet. We ask that you would sign up to on that sheet if you do have a concern to bring. It's got a way we can get in touch with you after the fact. There's also a copy, not a lot of them because we had to kill trees, but of the meeting agenda for tonight. Normally I would ask you to grab a copy, but again, they're very thick. So they will be displayed on the monitors here for you to follow along. So as I said, toward the end of the meeting, there'll be an opportunity for citizens' concerns, and it's during that time that anyone that has signed up and wishes to address the board may do so for up to 2 minutes. Please wait until I have recognized you from the sheet and ask you to speak. After being recognized, you can come up here to the podium to speak to the board. We just ask that you observe 4 simple rules when addressing the board. At the beginning, please tell us your name, your address. Please address all your questions to myself. I might ask a staff member or a fellow board member to answer your question. Disrespect will not be tolerated. That's enough said about that. Please avoid any improper language, profanity, or inappropriate conduct. And do remember that you are limited to 2 minutes. For most people, this should be plenty of time, and it'll just help keep our meeting down to a reasonable amount of time. Once the citizen concerns portion is over, the board will proceed with the remainder of the evening's agenda. You're welcome to stay and observe, but after citizens' concerns input is over, you're no longer permitted to speak at the meeting. We ask that everyone here remember that we are doing the people's business tonight, a very important responsibility for us all. Please help us to do this business by observing the rules that we have established. And again, thank you for coming tonight and participating in your government. We're glad you're here. For those in attendance that would like to join us in our opening prayer and Pledge of Allegiance, please stand at this time. And I've asked Pastor Weems from First Baptist Church Atoka to come tonight and open us with a word of prayer.
Let's bow our heads for a word of prayer. My Father, you have established the institution of government. We find it in the Word of God. We find, Heavenly Father, that we are to pray for our leaders, those who are in authority, that we might lead a quiet and a peaceable life. Father, we find need to pray for these who have decisions to make that affect us every single day of our life with taxes and work projects and various things that go on. So I pray that you'd give them wisdom and leadership. And Father, we're thankful that we live in a country with the freedom and the liberty to express ourselves, Lord, about our government. We have the ability to vote and our ballots can be counted. Father, we live in a great place called Atoka, Tennessee. We're thankful, Father, for the fact that you've put us here. We ask that tonight that your work might be done, that Christ might be glorified by all that happens tonight. And thank you, Lord, once again for the freedom we have to express ourselves in respect of our government. Thank you, Father. I hear about a dear lady's reached a particular landmark in her own age of 100, And Father, we rejoice that you're able to do such things. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, calling this meeting to order. The time is 7:05. Today is Tuesday, February 21st, 2023. And Ms. Town Reporter, I would ask you to do a roll call.
All right, we have Mayor Aiken,
Here.
Alderman Pace.
Here.
Alderman Harper.
Here.
Alderman Giannini.
Here, ma'am.
Alderwoman Renfro. Here. And Alderman Schaefer.
Here.
Alderman Feldmayer is absent.
All right, we do have a quorum this evening. The first exhibit in your packet is Exhibit A. It is our board meeting minutes from January. We are here for your review and approval. Do I have a motion to accept?
I will motion to approve the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the minutes by Alderman Giannini, a second by Alderman Renfro. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And the minutes are approved. Financial reports, Exhibit B. Have it up on your monitors. And sales tax report, Mr. Town Administrator.
Yes, sir. Good evening, board and citizens. So as we go through the financial report, we've got some information for you that'll hopefully shed some light on the town's finances. So our general fund revenues are totaling $4.77 million of our budgeted amount, and our expenditures are showing $3.71 million. With revenue over expenditures of a little over $1 million and $5.67 million on hand at the end of the period. Our State Street aid, excuse me, our State Street aid, we've received so far $209,000 this year. We've only expended $86,000, which was on our crack sealing machine. So our revenue over expenses are $123,000, with the cash on hand at the end of the period at $356,000. Our drug fund revenues are only $27,000. We'll see a little bit of improvement on those, but those are all related to asset forfeitures and drug seizures through our relationship that we have with the DEA. Cash on hand at the end of the period is $117,315. Our solid waste collections revenues are $394,000 so far through the year, so 58.8% of the budget. And expenditures are only $280,000 or 42.8% of the budget. So we've got revenue over expenses of $113,000 and $242,654 on hand. No change on our ARPA fund section, so $2.8 million of our ARPA fund allocation. Still have only spent the $33,857. I'm sure you'll hear a little bit about updates from some ARPA purchases through the spending plan from department directors, and we try to keep you updated weekly on those as well. Our water fund, $840,000 in revenues and $775,000 in expenses. So we're continuing to see some improvements on the positive net position of the water fund. So cumulatively for the year, we're $65,291 in the black. For the sewer fund, $905,000 in revenue, $962,000 in expenses, still $57,089 in the negative, which we've been tracking. So the next display on your screen should be your month over month. So one of the things that we started doing this fiscal year is where the board's been tracking the expenses on the sewer and water funds. We've given you month-to-month comparisons, given the month-to-month revenue, expenses, and what that net income and or loss was. But you can see that on the sewer fund, if you look in the lower right-hand corner, that the sewer fund has made a good improvement for the month through January at $29,854. So that means that the fund improved its position on cash flow by $29,000, but we're still in the negative, and it's an ongoing battle that we fight with the maintenance of our system. But this is information that we're presenting to the board as we go through the fiscal year. Any questions on that, or I can go right into sales tax?
Mark, on the sewer, I'm assuming that the big jump there is because the sewer treatment payments went down. That's only for the next 6 months, correct, or is that longer than that?
I believe it's for the next year.
Okay.
But that year, it starts, I believe this one started in December.
Okay.
So it should carry through this coming December.
Okay.
Okay. General sales tax review or revenue. So for the month of January, we recognized $141,769 in general sales tax revenue. It's a 0.07% increase. February, as you know, these numbers are tracking 2 months behind, so this is what we're receiving for monies that were spent back in November. But that's when we receive them. It's generally 2 months behind. So we're expecting in February to, hopefully we'll have a good showing what we receive for the month of February. And then we provide the fire tax revenue information. Similar, you see here, we received $62,263 and a 0.53% increase over the same month previous year.
All right. I would entertain a motion to accept the financial report as presented.
Motion to accept the financial report as presented.
All right, I have a motion from Alderman Renfro. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Alderman Schaefer. All in favor of accepting the financial report as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And those are accepted into the record. I know we had, in the last week or two, we had the Public Safety Committee met and conducted business for you, the citizens. The chairman of that committee is Alderman Brett Giannini, and he is going to give us an update on what they discussed.
Thank you, Mayor. We met February 17th here in the conference room. A lot of things were housekeeping, just adding some language that the police department would have liked to add to follow state law. And one of those is apparently the state has passed a law that requires security guards. If you're going to work at a business with on-site consumption of alcohol, they have to go through a certain number of hours of de-escalation training and some other techniques. So we're adding that into our ordinance to comply with state law. We also approved preliminary, and legal is going to look at all these things, and that's why it's going to come back to you in about a month. And you should have a little more detail in your notes of what I wrote out. But we want our court to have subpoena and the power to summons people to court, which we don't have right now. So I don't know if you're going to take a look at that or MTAS, but that should be coming to one of you guys. And also, we want to give Chief Rudolph the ability to have a mutual aid memo of understanding or memorandum of understanding with Brighton and Munford for mutual aid assistance. That way, if we have this MOU, then if our officers are over there doing something, then they are not going to be in violation of any kind of law. So basically, that's what it comes down to. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Alderman Giannini. Again, one of the things that we have done, I guess in the last year or so, is really started getting our committees working hard for y'all, and we just think it's important that y'all know what business is being conducted on your behalf. All right, old business. We have Exhibit C in your packet. This will be the second reading of an ordinance. Do you want to say something about this, Mr. Administrator?
Yes, sir. So this is the final consideration for this ordinance, and this would reestablish the training requirements for both the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning Appeals. Previously, way back, and I think it was 2012, I believe, the training requirements were waived by ordinance. So the board has seen fit to reestablish those training requirements for all Planning Commission members and Board of Zoning Appeals, and this ordinance would do that.
I'm just wondering, does anyone remember why we waived that? I know you weren't here.
I don't even think I was on here at the time. I think it was before I even came.
Well, if it's 2012.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Anyway, I'm just
Yeah.
sure there's something right.
All right, so I would entertain a motion on the second reading for Exhibit C.
Motion to approve?
Alderman Pace has made.
By title only.
By title only?
I can read
Oh, I'm sorry. Any objection to reading the ordinance by title only? Hearing none. Ms. Town Recorder, please read that for us.
An ordinance to reinstate the training requirement for municipal regional planning commission and board of zoning appeal members as described in the Tennessee Code annotated 13-4-101, 13-3-101, and 13-7-205.
All right. So, motion will still stand. Alderman Pace, do I have a second?
Second.
Be second by Alderman Harper. So the motion is to approve the second reading of the ordinance Exhibit C in your packet. Since it's an ordinance, we'll do a roll call vote. Alderman Schaefer?
Yes.
Alderman Renfro?
Yes.
Alderman Giannini?
Yes.
Alderman Harper?
Yes.
Alderman Pace?
Yes.
All right, the motion does carry. Next order of old business, we have Exhibit D in your packet, and this is also the second reading of an ordinance. Mr. Administrator, would you like to fill us in on that?
Yes, sir. So this ordinance really addresses two components. One is relating to the appointment by the mayor to the Planning Commission, as well as revising the term of the appointment from 5 years to 4 years to be consistent with the Tennessee Code annotated. The language and phrase that was added basically was that membership shall be the mayor or a person designated by the mayor. So it changes the language from requiring the board member by the appointment of the mayor. He can serve himself or appoint another member of the board as a liaison. This changes it to be a person without the requirement of it being another board member. So that is the change there. And then, of course, the change from 5 years to a 4-year term.
Thank you, sir. I said it at the first reading last month, and it's just a matter of information. This was not something that I got sworn in and I'm new sheriff in town, going to change everything. This was already in work before I even got sworn in, so it's just a matter of information. But do I hear any objection to reading the ordinance by title only? Hearing none, Ms. Town Recorder.
An ordinance to amend Title 14, Section 101 of the Town of Atoka's Municipal Code regarding the creation and makeup of the Town Municipal Regional Planning Commission.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve from Alderman Harper. I have a second from Alderman Pace. The motion is a second reading of Exhibit D in your packet. We will again do this by roll call vote. Alderman Pace.
Yes.
Alderman Harper.
Yes.
Alderman Giannini.
Yes.
Alderman Renfro.
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer.
Yes.
It passes. That is put into record. All right. New business. We have an honored guest here tonight, and she, I have a feeling, is not used to being in the limelight. But I'm going to come down and we're going to recognize Ms. Josephine Smith Hicks. Come on. Put your feet up, Missy. There we go. All right. You gotta come over here where everybody can see you. I got you a proclamation. Now I'm gonna read that. That's for you to keep. I'm gonna read this. So as Pastor Weems talked about in his prayer, Miss Hicks is turning 100 years old tomorrow. And that, yes. Miss Marvel was kind to reach out to us, and she let us know about this, and I said, most definitely, we want to recognize this lady. And I understand, Miss Hicks, you still live by yourself?
Oh, yes.
And she said she'd be up and walking, but she should have got a knee surgery a long time ago, and she didn't get it done. Is that right?
Yes, my husband scared me.
My husband scared.
He got a knee surgery and he just cried like a baby.
Oh. Okay. Anything else? You are the honored guest. Anything else you want to say?
Well, thank God.
Thank the Lord.
That's right. I've been blessed. And all the neighbors in the neighborhood, I just have friends to talk to, and they're all so nice to me. I've been there ever since 1958.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a long time.
All right.
Thank you all so much.
All right. Well, I told her this is an honor for me because I just got sworn in December. This is the first proclamation I've ever done. It's a big deal. So we're going to read this tonight here. Whereas longevity of life is a blessing for an individual and for the community, which benefits from the knowledge, creativity, and experiences this individual brings to all. And whereas the town of Atoka recognizes with respect and admiration the contribution of senior citizens to our community. And whereas Miss Josephine Smith Hicks was born on February 22nd, 1923, the third of 13 children to Caldwell Smith and Eileen Hodges Sanders. And whereas Miss Hicks graduated Woodstock Training High School with high honors, winning all seamstress awards in her home economics class. Using her skills as a seamstress, she then worked for the Millington Naval Air Station with her mom and oldest sister, and for Goldsmiths in the making of shirts. Is that right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Boy, yes.
Later.
You got everything.
We got she didn't know anything about this. So. Later, she worked for the Veterans Administration Nursing Home and Hospital for Veterans, where she was the first black seamstress employed, working at the VA for a total of 25 years. Yes. And whereas Miss Hicks married Milton Hicks Sr. in 1953, and together they raised 6 children, have 8 great-grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren, she has lived the majority of her life in the town of Atoka, currently residing at 1833 Luckadoo Road.
That's right.
And
You know everything.
whereas the United States has the greatest number of centenarians. Did you know you're officially a centenarian tomorrow? Centenarian.
That's something.
The United States has the greatest number in the world. The last report I read was over 97,000. We are the United States. Miss Smith should be honored for her 100 years on this earth. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that I, Barry L. Aiken, Mayor of the town of Atoka, and on behalf of the Board of Aldermen and the citizens of Atoka, honor Miss Josephine Smith Hicks on the occasion of her 100th birthday celebration tomorrow, do hereby proclaim February 22nd, 2023 as the Josephine Smith Hicks Day
That's right, as old as yours.
in the town of Atoka, and call upon all citizens to wish her well on her 100th birthday.
Come on. Thank you.
Y'all want to come up? Family, y'all want to come up and get a picture made?
by surprise.
Okay, Mr. Duncan, Mr. James,
Yes.
how's this look, Dorothy? You got us all together?
Come a little closer.
All right, you
All
got
right,
to act
y'all
like you
ready?
like it.
Yeah, we blessed all of the college graduates.
All right, thank y'all again.
I gotta get it home. It's past the bedtime. Way past the bedtime.
Yes, sir.
Chief, you want to come up? We also have a special evening. It's hard to top that. Happy birthday. Where's the chief? While it's hard to top, we also have some special things not normally part of our board meeting tonight. We are recognizing a promotion of one of our firefighters and new firefighters coming to the town of Atoka. So, Chief Justice McMillan.
Yeah, they sprung it on me that I had to say something, so I had to run back and type something up real quick. The fire department recently held a lieutenant promotional process. It was administered by MTAS. The competition was fierce as we had numerous highly qualified individuals vying for the promotion. Our lieutenants are true company officers in charge of their crews and stations. At the end of the process, the decision was made to promote Andrew Stroud to the rank of lieutenant. Lieutenant Stroud began his career with Atoka Fire in June of 2015 and has excelled in many areas during his time here. I have the utmost confidence that Lieutenant Stroud is going to be an outstanding lieutenant for the Atoka Fire Department. So Mr. Stroud,
Andrew,
and your family
Lieutenant,
would like to come up.
I'm gonna stand up here, so if anybody wants to get pictures, so you're gonna face these. Okay.
Man, that mustache is deadly.
All right, Lieutenant, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Raise your right hand, please, sir. We're gonna do the Atoka Firefighters Oath of Office. There we go. I state your name.
I, Andrew Stroud,
Do hereby pledge
do hereby pledge
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the law of the state of Tennessee,
the law of the state of Tennessee,
and the laws and ordinances of the town of Atoka.
and the laws and the ordinances of the town of Atoka.
As a lieutenant,
As lieutenant,
I further pledge to protect and safeguard
I further pledge to protect and safeguard
the lives and property of the citizens of the town of Atoka
the lives and property of citizens of Atoka
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I pledge service over self,
I pledge service over self,
to work ethically,
to work ethically,
with integrity,
with integrity,
honesty,
honesty,
and impartiality.
and impartiality.
I recognize with this badge
I recognize with this badge
the symbol of my position
the symbol of my position
and the public faith and trust placed upon me. And the public faith and trust placed upon me.
faith and trust placed upon me,
That I will never tarnish it,
that I will never tarnish it,
and I accept this badge
and I accept this badge
and the proud traditions
and the proud traditions
and honorable service that go with it,
and honorable service that go with it,
and are placed upon me as an Atoka Fire Department lieutenant.
and that are placed upon me as an Atoka Fire Department lieutenant.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Since they're the ones making faces at him, make him.
Andrew, you want to say anything?
No, sir.
Okay.
And I bet I struggled enough with that.
He's gonna make a perfect lieutenant.
Hey, Andrew, y'all want to get a family picture? Dorothy's got it.
Yes.
I'll get you.
Two, 30. All right, we're good.
All right, Chief.
All right, in the interest of moving it along a little bit, we're gonna do our 3 new firefighters. They're all gonna do their oath at the same time. The Atoka Fire Department is a progressive department and constantly striving to become more effective and efficient. In the past few months, we have hired three highly qualified individuals to join our ranks. These 3 folks will be taking their oaths of office tonight as well. Welcome to the team, and let's get ready to work, guys. William Carpenter, Dean Edgar, and Todd Highfield, could y'all all come to the front, please? So not only do you have to do it, you have to be coordinated.
Do y'all have family that y'all want to come up tonight? Anybody here? Come on up.
Come on up, let's make it a party.
All right, we got everybody? Excellent. All right, if you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, state your name,
I, William Carpenter,
do hereby pledge
Do hereby
hereby
pledge
pledge
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will
that I will
support the
support the
Constitution
Constitution of the United States,
the law of the state of Tennessee,
the
the
law of the state of Tennessee,
and the law and ordinances of the town of Atoka.
and the
and the
law
law
and
and
ordinances of the town of Atoka.
As a firefighter,
As a firefighter,
I further pledge to protect
I further pledge to protect
and safeguard the lives and property
and safeguard the lives and property
of the citizens of the town of Atoka
of the citizens of the town of Atoka
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I pledge service over self,
I pledge service over self,
to work ethically,
to work ethically,
with integrity,
with
with
integrity,
integrity,
honesty,
honesty,
and impartiality.
and impartiality.
I recognize with this badge
I recognize with this badge
the symbol of my position
the symbol of my position
position
and the public faith and trust
and the public faith and trust
placed upon me,
placed upon me,
that I will never tarnish it,
that I will never tarnish it,
and I accept this badge
and I accept this badge
and the proud traditions
and the proud traditions
and honorable service
and honorable service
that go with it,
that go with it,
and that are placed upon me
and that are placed upon me
as an Atoka Fire Department firefighter.
as an Atoka Fire Department firefighter.
Good. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
I've already got it out.
Okay. So look, you can hold it if you want to. It goes here, they're here. Oh. We'll go through the bottom part. You got it. You got it. You did good.
I couldn't have done it.
Oh, no. Good job.
All right, Dorothy. Dorothy, we're gonna start pictures first. You stay up there. You wanna do, let's do them one at a time.
Oh, I can do that. Trying to get it. All right, we're right on that group.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am.
All right. All right, go on that one.
All right, we will continue with the agenda. New business. Exhibit F in your packet. We are amending the ordinance to amend our purchasing limits. Mr. Administrator.
Yes, sir. So the ordinance you have in front of you for consideration is a proposed ordinance that would increase the limits for purchases that would not be considered for competitive bidding. As you all know, the town of Atoka is subject to the municipal purchasing law of 1983, and the state legislature recently revised the dollar limit over which competitive bidding is required, not exceeding $25,000. It's a TCA Section 6, 56302. So, as a result of supply chain issues, inflation, and general price increases in materials, there was a desire to revisit the current policies. When we had some elected officials training, newly elected officials training, at a public meeting, our task consultant came in, and one of the things that had come up was purchasing limits, and the board indicated that they wanted to revise the purchasing limits to mirror TCA. So, what you have in front of you is a draft ordinance to do just that.
So this aligns us with Tennessee Code Annotated?
Yes, sir. And what we did include for the board, behind your draft ordinance of Exhibit F, so then, should the board approve it on first reading and then give a final approval, we've included for you a resolution and the purchasing policy that would be modified should the board adopt the change. So we wanted you to have all of that information when you were considering it the entire way. Still free, we may go into the policy just a tad.
Yes.
So a couple of the minor revisions, we were raising the limit on small purchases from $1,500 to $2,000 to give our department directors a little bit more latitude. But we kept the informal purchases limit from $2,001 to $24,999. That still requires 3 purchase quotes, either by bid or by email, written quotes of some form or fashion, and that they would be submitted for approvals. Everything's the same as far as those approvals would go, and any formal purchases over $25,000 would be formally bid, come back to the board for approval.
Is there any objection to reading the ordinance by title only? Hearing none. Ms. Town Recorder?
An ordinance to amend Title V, Chapter 1 of the Atoka Municipal Code relating to town purchasing.
I would entertain a motion on Exhibit F. your packet.
Motion to approve?
Alderman Renfro made a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Giannini has a second. Is there any discussion or questions for the town administrator? All right, hearing none. This is first reading of this ordinance. We'll do a roll call, and we'll start with Alderman Giannini.
Yes.
Alderman Renfro.
Yes.
Alderman Schaefer.
Yes.
Alderman Pace.
Yes.
Alderman Harper.
Yes.
And the ordinance carries on the first reading. Next in your packet is Exhibit G. We have a resolution. And before that, we're going to do the videos first, Mr. Town Administrator?
Yes, sir, it might be helpful so citizens understand what the board would be resolving to do.
I wish everybody would have stuck around for this. That would have been really good. So last month, we talked about how you, the citizen, can get the town of Atoka $184,000 a year, and all you have to do is call your representatives and ask them to sponsor and approve the state shared sales tax and single article cap. Now, it can get really into the weeds on this, so we've got some videos to explain it to you. And I guess we'll go ahead, Mr. Kirk. Okay.
Man is gonna do it.
We've got the hidden, pay no attention to the person.
From the very beginning, when the state of Tennessee created the sales tax in 1947 at 2%, leaders at the time recognized the burden municipal taxpayers bear, and with this understanding, decided that a portion of the state's general fund revenue must be returned to towns and cities to provide tax relief to those citizens. The historic revenue sharing relationship of the state returning locally generated sales tax dollars to towns and cities is commonly referred to as state shared sales tax. Over the years, each time the state increased the state sales tax rate in 1957, 76, 77, and 85, each time the state recognized that the rationale for the historic revenue sharing relationship persisted, and the state chose to continue returning a portion of general fund sales tax dollars to provide tax relief to municipal residents. This is not true for the rate increase in 1993 that created the Basic Education Program, or BEP, which directly funds education and does not put revenues in the state's general fund. The rationale for the historic revenue sharing relationship continues today. However, because of actions taken in 2002, the state does not share from the final 1% of the state's general fund. Now is the time for Tennessee's leaders to fully restore the historic revenue sharing relationship, share from the final 1% of the state's general fund, return more locally generated sales tax dollars to towns and cities, and provide tax relief to millions of Tennesseans.
So I'll just recap that for you, try to make it into kind of a bullet point. Basically, the state has always shared, recognizing that 90% of revenue comes from municipalities like Atoka, and they had always shared 4.6% of that revenue with the municipalities. When they raised it from 6% to 7%, they stopped that. We didn't get to share in that 1%. So one of the things we're doing is we're asking them to, hey, give us that. Also give us our portion of that 1% increase that y'all did. And that's part of it. That's that first part. Now we've got, I guess, another video.
Single article cap.
Single article cap. This is the second part about it.
There's one more essential piece to understanding how the sales tax works in Tennessee, and that's the single article cap. This cap only affects the local option sales tax. The sales tax levied by the state is not affected by the single article cap. The single article cap is a limit on the total sale price of any single item that is subject to the local option sales tax. If any item is more expensive than the cap, the local option sales tax only applies to the capped amount. Again, the single article cap does not apply to the state's 7% sales tax rate. Let's move to an example. In 1990, things were a little different than they are today. A Honda Accord cost $15,645. The state sales tax rate was 5%, not 7% like it is today. and the single article cap on local option sales tax was $1,600. When someone purchased a Honda Accord in 1990, the state collected 5% on the full $15,645 of the purchase price. Meanwhile, the single article cap on local option sales tax limited the amount of sales tax revenue collected to the first $1,600 of the purchase price. Let's assume the highest local option sales tax rate of 2.75%. The result? The state collects $782.25 on the full purchase price. A mere $44 in local option sales tax is collected on the first $1,600. And just as we've explained previously, the local option sales tax is divided between the schools and the town or city where the tax was collected. After the Department of Revenue and the county trustee remove their two fees, less than $22 are returned to the city or town where the tax is collected. In 2002, when the state was facing a severe budget shortfall, they raised the single article cap to $3,200. However, the state applied the maximum rate of 2.75% to all revenues collected between $1,600 and $3,200 and redirected these revenues to the state's general fund rather than the schools and local governments where the item was sold, as had always been the case. Here's what that looks like today. A Honda Accord in 2022 costs $26,120. The state collects the full 7% of the state rate on all $26,120. The single article cap is now $3,200. Cities and towns receive local option sales tax revenues collected on the first $1,600. The state receives local option sales tax revenues collected on items with a sales price of $1,600 and up to $3,200, today's single article cap. The result? The state collects $1,828.40 by applying the state's 7% rate to the full purchase price. $44 in local option sales tax revenues are collected on the first $1,600 to be split between schools and the town or city where the tax was collected. And another $44 is collected by the state from the local option sales tax between $1,600 and $3,200. Cities and towns and schools are still splitting a maximum of $44 this many years later. These revenues collected by the state using the local option sales tax should be returned to the schools, cities, and towns where the tax is collected, which restores the historic relationship of local option sales tax revenues being returned to the towns, cities, and schools where the sale is made. Another consequence of the single article cap is that it prevents the local option sales tax revenues from growing in a manner that corresponds with inflation. The amount of sales tax revenue the state collects has increased as the price of the car has increased significantly over 32 years. However, the maximum potential sales tax any local government may realize from any single purchase has been capped at the same $44 for 32 years. Your community is making the investments. Your community should keep more of the tax revenues created by your investments. The state should return this share of the local option sales tax to the towns and cities where it is being generated and collected. What have we learned? Unlike the state sales tax rate, the local option sales tax rate is subject to a single article cap. The single article cap limits the amount of the sale price. Any single item is subject to the local option sales tax. The single article cap prevents local option sales tax revenues from growing in a manner that corresponds with inflation, a benefit the state enjoys without a cap. 20 years ago, the state raised the single article cap from $1,600 to $3,200 and redirected these revenues away from towns and cities and schools into the state's general fund. These revenues should be returned to the schools, towns, and cities where they are generated and collected. The state of Tennessee can afford to return these revenues, and doing so is tax relief for the citizens in all communities.
So the single article cap, we're just asking the legislature, when they raised that, when they increased the single article from 16 to 3,200, they did that, but they took all of the additional sales tax from that. They did not let us participate in sharing that. That's a great video. So one of the things that you might be told if you call your legislatures is that it's going to be an additional tax. It's not. We're all paying the sales tax now. It's behind the scenes of how it's getting divvied out, whether the state is keeping the majority or whether they're always going to keep the majority. But we're just saying, give us what you used to give us for 50 years with the sharing. So We have one more video, I believe. So there's this group called the Tennessee Municipal League, or is it MTAS?
No, it's TMO.
TML, okay. They are really, just to give, and maybe you're thinking in your head, well, I don't want to cripple Tennessee. Tennessee did this because they were in dire straits back in 2002. There's a projection of having an $8 billion surplus this budget year, and if they were to do what we're asking them to do, that would take about $78 million away from that $8 billion surplus. So it's not going to put the state in financial trouble at all. But TML asked the local municipalities to record a video, and they're sending them to the legislatures. And we didn't want to do one that's just kind of a run-of-the-mill. If you look at them out there, there was a lot of people standing in front of their town signs or in front of the flag and reading from a cue card. And so the staff got together and they came up with this. We're going to have this on our website if we don't already. And you can do nothing else. You can forward it to your senator and your representatives. So go ahead, Miss Behind the Curtain.
Wizard.
Well, Mayor, here we are again, another budget season. We don't know what we're going to do to make it ends meet. It's always a struggle every single year. So, and we've got a lot of things that we've talked about in the past. Committee, looking at personnel, adding personnel, and retention and recruitment of employees, as well as infrastructure needs, capital outlays, and we're just looking at trying to make those ends meet. You want me to bring them all to you? Bring them a little bit at a time? What are you thinking?
Well, tell me this, that state shared sales tax thing, how much is that again for the town of Atoka?
Well, on a recurring basis, if it passes, it'll be $184,569.
$184,000 every year.
Every year, yes, sir. Taxes that folks are already paying.
Mark, do you know what we could do with that much money for the town? What do you think?
Wouldn't you love to have nice new playgrounds? Or an updated splash pad?
100,000 tons of new asphalt for the town of Atoka.
I know. Let's make the fire trucks ready. Get me solid.
No. Let's give it to PE. Just here, the rookie is here.
Hope that you enjoy this fun and informative video. I know we enjoy creating it for you. But seriously, we need to restore the sharing relationship between the state of Tennessee and the town of Atoka. As you've heard, this will return approximately $184,000 to the town of Atoka annually. That brings relief to you, our citizens. That's $184,000 a year, and we're not raising 1% of your taxes. So what do we need you to do? Post it everywhere. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to your friends. Put it on social media. Contact Governor Lee. Contact your state senators and your state representatives and ask them to pass the state shared sales tax in single article cap legislation. By doing this, you will be bringing sales tax dollars back to the communities where they were generated. Thank you for watching this video. Now, go get to work.
And there you go. Just as so we're going to pass a resolution tonight, just making it, we did this last year and no movement had occurred. We're going to do it again tonight. And we're also going to be going to a TML conference in Nashville. We've already got an appointment to meet with Senator Rose and also Representative Moody. And we're going to stress to them again how much we really need this to occur. So please do your part and contact your representatives and just let them know how you feel about it. All right? So, with that being said, Exhibit G in your packet is the resolution for this. Do I have any objection to reading this by title only? Hearing none, Ms. Town Recorder.
A resolution to support restoring the historic revenue sharing relationship between the state of Tennessee and its local governments, and to return the local share of the single article cap to local governments.
I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. I have a motion to approve by Alderman Harper, a second by Alderman Pace. Since this is a resolution, we do not need to do a roll call vote. All in favor of Exhibit G, this resolution, state by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Exhibit H on our packet tonight is having to do with our employee compensation. Mr. Town Administrator.
Yes, sir. So the resolution that you have before you is a result of meetings from the department staff, your department directors, the Finance and Administration Committee, as well as a work session with the Board of Mayor and Alderman. The information, we also included the full memo in your packet that you have printed out tonight. Met several times to discuss the matter, and it's recognized that the board, that the town is and will remain in an extremely competitive labor market. There's a need for the town to become and remain more competitive in that market as it relates to retaining and recruiting qualified personnel. The board recognizes and prioritizes the retention of qualified employees to provide town operations and public safety, and the resolution would increase compensation by 5%. Funds are available in the current allocated budget to make this adjustment.
Thank you, Mr. Town Administrator. If there's no objection from the board, because I do feel that it is very important to our town staff, I would like to read this resolution in full, not by title only. Hearing no objection, Ms. Town Recorder, please. You might want to drink some water first.
All right, a resolution adjusting employee compensation for the purposes of employee retention and recruitment. Whereas the town of Atoka has been and remains in an extremely competitive labor market, and whereas the Board of Mayor and Alderman recognize and prioritize the retention of current qualified employees to provide essential town operations, including public safety, and whereas the recruitment of current and future vacancies requires appropriate compensation for qualified candidates, and whereas the current fiscal year 2023 budget appropriation contained funding for positions that have thus far remained vacant. Whereas as of December 31, 2022, those position vacancies have created approximately $137,299.46 of available funds towards the purpose of retention and recruitment. And whereas an increase of 5% at the next payroll cycle for all employee compensation will be less than $89,700. Whereas the Finance and Administration Committee is conducting additional compensation reviews in the creation of the future fiscal year 2024 budget, and whereas the Board of Mayor and Alderman intend to adopt a plan to increase staffing over the next few years. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Mayor and Alderman of the town of Atoka, Tennessee. The Board of Mayor and Alderman of the town of Atoka, Tennessee hereby approve a 5% increase to all employees' hourly and salary and compensation. The town recorder is hereby directed during the next regular payroll cycle to adjust all employee compensation as defined in Section 1. The increase will be accomplished to the greatest extent possible within existing appropriations in the fiscal year 2023 budget ordinance and necessary And if necessary, a budget amendment will be presented to the board of mayor and alderman. Is that the back one too?
Two more. You're getting close.
Yeah, page 2.
Okay, double sided papers here, okay. The resolution takes effect immediately upon its passage and approval in the public welfare requiring it, passed by the Board of Mayor and Alderman of the town of Atoka, Tennessee, this 21st day of February 2023.
Thank you, Ms. Town Reporter. I would entertain a motion of this resolution.
Motion to approve is presented.
I have a motion by Alderman Pace,
Second.
second by Alderman Renfro. Any discussion? Hearing none. This resolution, do a general vote. All in favor of Exhibit I resolution, state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Excuse me, that was H. Exhibit I. We have a resolution about our Tennessee violent crime. Chief, is that you, or are you going to let the administrator handle this?
Certainly handle it. So back end of last year, the Governor Lee set aside $100 million to fight violent crime, and through this violent crime intervention fund, he set aside a certain amount of dollars. I came before you all back, I think, in the December meeting and asked for a request for us to enter into grants. There was a grant specific to Atoka, and then there was a competitive grant that if you work in a regional setting and have everybody come together, you can do a competitive. I think ARPA's doing the same thing, so it's kind of the same language. So this, before you today, is in relation to the competitive grant that we are working with Munford and Brighton on to secure a mobile command center. The price tag of that mobile command center is roughly $847,000. So we're certainly relying on the funds of the state to kind of help us with that. The only issue with it that I can see is that it works with just like any other grant that we've been dealing with. The town would be out of pocket on the price tag at the very beginning, but the funds get repurposed into our account as soon as we submit the bill to them, or their process. But that's what this is about. This is a 2024 Freightliner with a large cab on the back, kind of like what you see, similar rather to what you see at the Barbecue Fest. The Tipton County, they have the emergency management has one. So it's got, in the event we have a natural disaster or something where we need to pull our resources together or something, it gives us a mobile center that we can operate from, similar to a remote police station, or in this case, a town hall, or any number of things.
Chief, I understand in terms of its location, we're trying to keep it here in Atoka?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We've really taken the bull by the horns on it so that we can get the paperwork taken care of. We've got full support from Munford and Brighton on that, and so that's why we're looking to enter into the mutual agreement on it.
How do you think it would be labeled, since it's kind of a mutual?
Well, I mean, naturally what would come to mind would be something like South City's, mobile command center or something. It's kind of fluid right now, but I mean, there could be an acronym for it. I mean, there's a number of things. We can put our creative minds together and come up with something that would be.
You can understand, of course, there's going to be your typical insurance and maintenance and those kind of things.
Correct.
I guess there'd be some kind of municipal agreement between the Tri-Cities on that.
Yes, sir.
Were there other ideas that y'all came up with? This is what y'all decided on, or?
Well, we were kind of at the end of our wire, so it wasn't necessarily, we didn't have a whole lot of discussion time on it. So as far as a big ticket item goes with a competitive piece and something that would put us into a position where we could, in the event something of a big magnitude that would require us all three to come together, this would have been something, because we all got our individual grants for each town, so those would go into the smaller kind of things, like when our individual ones, we're working on updated body worn cameras and the such. But as far as the group together having something, we had to start thinking bigger, and that's really at the last minute, that was something that we really just came up with. And it's a big ask for the state. They're really, I mean, we've had to really put pen and paper together and get these grant details together, and you know, we put it before the state, so we'll know by the end of March whether or not we qualify.
Chair would entertain a motion. Exhibit I.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Did she read it already? Did you read it? Did I forget that?
It's a resolution.
Okay, we don't need to do that? Good. All right. Yeah, motion. So we have a motion to approve resolution made by Alderman Harden, second by Alderman Pace. All in favor of resolution exhibit I, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Exhibit J, you're back up, Mr. Thank you, Chief. Are you gonna be back up again, maybe? You wanna go ahead?
Sure.
All right.
So before you in Exhibit J is basically a mutual aid agreement, which Alderman Giannini spoke to a little earlier. Basically, the TCA, our Tennessee Code annotated in 654-307, basically spells out that anytime one agency or entity in one town needs help from another entity in another town, they encourage, the law is written that we can enter into a mutual aid agreement, and not only that, but they encourage us to enter into a mutual aid agreement. So what you see before you are basically a 10,000-foot view that we as the police departments can operate. So the one in front of you right now is between us and Brighton, and then in a few minutes we'll be doing a duplicate one with Munford. And basically, if Brighton was to need our services for anything, then basically what it spells out is their chief calls us on the phone, makes an official request, and then we would come there to assist them anyway. This spells out all the details. Who's paying for whose salary, and workman's compensation and insurance and the damage to equipment, those kinds of things. It just allows us to go into an agreement together to kind of cover those things. Now, as the mutual aid agreement goes, it's in perpetuity. So if I'm not here or their chief's not there, it's still in effect until it is canceled in writing by one of the two cities. And it can be amended as often as needed as well. So we just wanted to get one in place in the event that something should be needed.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
One quick question.
Yes, sir.
I didn't think of this the other day, but what you just said reminded me of it. So 911 dispatch. If Atoka's tied up on calls, could they or would they dispatch a Brighton car to make a call here? Or as you said, the chief would have to call you and request assistance?
Well, so when I first got here, one of the first questions I started asking was, do we have mutual aid agreements in place? The answer that I got was the law just covers us. So I just wanted to look at the law. Looking at the law, it really just kind of spells out what I told y'all, is that, hey, these are the things that happen. I think a few laws have been passed to give some sort of qualified immunity for us operating in each other's jurisdictions. But I think under the question you're asking, the dispatcher would just send somebody under the premise of the fact that, hey, we've just always been doing this. This just kind of solidifies a little bit that it's okay to do those kinds of things. Now, if I called over to Munford and I said I needed 20 people because we're having a civil unrest or something, and I needed 20 people to assist us, then that would be that formal phone call kind of thing, I would think.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? All right. Would accept a motion for Resolution Exhibit J.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion by Alderman Renfro. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Schaefer. All in favor of passing resolutions, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Likewise. Resolution carries. Exhibit K, we have the same thing as the Chief just mentioned. The difference being this is between Atoka and Montford. Do we have any other discussion necessary? I don't think so. Okay. I would accept a motion on Exhibit K in your packet.
Motion to accept.
Motion to approve by Alderman Renfro. Second?
Second.
By Alderman Schaefer. All right. Huh?
Second, G&E.
It was you. Excuse me. All right, did you get that, Mr. Town Recorder?
I think so.
All right, I didn't want to mess you up there. All right, all in favor of the approval of Resolution Exhibit K in your packet, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Exhibit L, Memorandum of Understanding with the Fire Department Training. Chief Miller.
If you remember, I believe this is the thing about, we're just trying to mirror what PD was doing as far as reimbursement on classes. So we had a staggered repayment system. He had in place that basically if they leave before the end of 3 years, they have to pay us back for any training that they've had. And I like that a lot better. It'll help us hold on to people, hopefully. So it's just basically mirroring what PD's already got in place.
Before it was prorated, right?
It was.
Yes, sir.
It was prorated, yes,
Now
sir.
it's the full amount.
Yes, sir. Yes.
I would entertain a motion to approve Resolution Exhibit L.
I move that we approve Exhibit L.
Second.
Motion's been made by Alderman Giannini, a second by Alderman Harper. All in favor of approval of this resolution, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Exhibit M in your packets, finding a 401K for town employees. Mr. Town Administrator.
Yes, sir. Before going any further, I just want to take a moment of liberty and thank the Board of Mayor and Alderman on behalf of myself and the staff for the decision that you made to make an adjustment to the employee compensation. I know everyone who is part of the staff from the top to the bottom appreciates it. So thank you. Exhibit M, you have in front of you for consideration of the creation of a 401K with Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System. This is something that's a result of departmental conversations and staff conversations and recommendations with Finance and Administration Committee, where we're trying to identify some additional value to benefit the employees and future recruitment that are little to no cost to the town financially. And what you have in front of you is a no-cost creation of a 401K system and contribution plan within TCRS that currently would just be created and funded by the participants who choose to participate. And there would not be at this time any matching contributions or any responsibility to the town. So that's what you have in front of you for Exhibit M.
I would entertain a motion for approval of Exhibit M.
Motion to approve Exhibit M.
Motion made by Alderman Giannini. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Renfro. All in favor of approving the establishing a 401K defined contribution plan in TCRS, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Hearing none, resolution carries. Exhibit N, 457. Are we doing that tonight, Mr. Administrator?
Mr. Mayor, I would recommend that the board postpone consideration on this item until the March meeting.
All right, we've got some, we're still trying to get all the numbers together and some facts. There's some issues with TCRS and how many 457s you can have. And I would entertain a motion to postpone this resolution until our March board meeting.
Motion to postpone.
Motion to postpone by Alderman Schaefer. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Renfro. Ladies. All in favor of postponing this until the March board meeting, state by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? This will be on our agenda in the March meeting. Okay. Miscellaneous items, fiscal year 24 budget process memorandum. Mr. Town Administrator.
Hey, yes, sir, this really is just a budget memorandum which outlines some of the priorities going into the new budget cycle, things that we'll need to be considering for town operations, and generally outline a schedule so that the board has an awareness of when town staff anticipates to meet, when our Finance and Administration Committee will meet, looking like April 4th and the 18th. And then, of course, we'll have our public work session with the full board on May the 2nd before the final draft budget is presented to the board at the May 10th, 2023 meeting. Just informational, really, no actions necessary. Just wanted to kind of lay out the timeline of what that looks like during the creation of the budget.
I'm still trying to catch up with you here. I'm going through all the paperwork.
Those 401K and 457.
I got through it, yeah.
It was quite a bunch of documents.
Might want to give that back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll recycle that.
So you have those dates. I would encourage the board, if you haven't already, put those on your calendar. And citizens, of course, all of our meetings are transparent. You are encouraged to attend those budget work sessions. And we'll proceed to item number 2. Mr. Town Administrator.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, as you're probably aware, we received a resignation letter from Mr. Mike Smith as a planning commissioner, and he desired that to be effective as of February the 20th. So, point of information for the board that Mr. Smith did resign from the planning commission, and I think the next item on your agenda will address his vacancy. Maybe should we make a motion to just accept his resignation?
Sure, I'll entertain a motion to accept the resignation of Michael K. Smith from the Planning Commission.
A motion to accept the resignation of Michael Smith, Planning Commission.
Motion made by Alderman Harper. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Schaefer. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Since we do have that vacancy in the Planning Commission, I am appointing as the mayoral appointment Matt Peters to fill that spot. Mr. Peters is here tonight. Matt has been involved with town processes and been attending Planning Commission meetings, board meetings. I believe Matt will be a great addition to the Planning Commission. And as I have the sign in my office, I think Matt will always do what is best for the town of Atoka. So Matt, you don't have to. At least they can see your faces.
No problem. I just appreciate the opportunity and just appreciate it.
All
So
right.
I look forward to serving. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. That's just a FYI for you.
I guess fine choice, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Mr. Town Administrator, you want to talk about the next thing, or?
Certainly. So what we've got is a request. This request would be rescheduling the regularly scheduled March board meeting, pushing it one Tuesday, pushing it a week away to March the 21st, 2023, and that's a result of yourself, myself, and Alderman Chris Schaefer attending the Tennessee Municipal League Legislative Conference in Nashville, and that conference runs into Tuesday. Wouldn't be impossible for all of us to be back before Tuesday evening, but we do have a a late morning appointment scheduled with one of our elected representatives. I think it's Senator Rose in Nashville. So maybe a little difficult to get back. It would certainly make it much easier to be able, if the board was willing, to reschedule that to the 21st, so we don't have to do the polka dance to get home.
We need a motion for that?
Yes, sir.
All right, I would entertain a motion to move the March board meeting to March 21st, 2023.
Motion to move the March meeting to March 21st.
Motion's been made by Alderman Renfro. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Giannini. Right? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of changing the date of the March meeting to the 21st, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We will be meeting on the third Tuesday in March. Please make a note of that in your calendars. And we will post that on the website calendar and let everybody know, all of our citizens know what's going on. Departmental reports, code enforcement. Mr. Inspector Mark Doherty, MD.
Good evening, Mayor Aiken, Board. For your review, in front of you is the monthly code enforcement report. As you can see, most of the numbers are down, just because it's the beginning of the year and everything's slow usually then. Do you have any questions? I'll answer any questions regarding that.
I was just curious on the commercial building permit, who that was.
That was actually a change of occupancy for Caldwell Tinning. They moved from right down the street here to down on the highway near Commercial Drive.
Any other questions for Inspector? Thank you very much.
One point to note, Mayor Aiken, I did pass my mechanical inspector's test 3 months ahead of schedule, and at Chief Rudolph's request, I declined to do the polka dance. But I am proud that I've got that done and out of the way, and now I'm going to move on to my commercial series.
Awesome.
Congratulations. You got
Congratulations.
plumbing and mechanical.
Yes, sir, all residential, the entire residential series.
That is great. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Fire Department Chief McMillan.
Doing my own little polka dance up here. Just like every month, you've got your monthly reports that includes our training hours. We were a little bit over 457 total hours for the month of January. Call volume stayed pretty constant. We're still, if you'll pay attention, splitting the calls pretty evenly between Station 1 and Station 2 out there. So there's not really a need to juggle people around. We've got them where we need them. And we're still making a substantial amount of calls out in the county. Then the third one that y'all have was the inspections for January. January was a little slow coming off the holidays, but we got 3 of those done. Do you have any questions about the numbers?
Did I say it correctly that you inspected yourself?
Did I inspect it myself? Well, that's a typo.
It says Atoka Fire Department Station 1.
Oh, yeah, that was me.
Okay.
If it's on the report, that's what counts. A few things I'd like to add to the monthly report. We're still outfitting the department side by side to get ready for the Barbecue Fest, among other things. I made an administrative decision, and we have named it the Wile E. Coyote. So just FYI, it's going to have a cool little sticker on it. This has a little bit of firefighting capability. We can take it out for our mainly field fires. It's got a small tank of water on it and a hose. But the main thing we'll use it for is visibility at our events, and it has, of course, we run ALS, so it has, the EMS capabilities right on scene. A couple of ARPA updates. We were going to buy a brush truck. The the one Ford place in I can't not say this word, Murfreesboro. They were the only ones that were kind of telling us that we could get a truck. Well, they told us a few weeks ago that we are not getting the allocation. We can't get it. This is pretty common with vehicles right now. So come summertime, we'll have to try and get back in line to get it done. So that's kind of been put on hold. The other ARPA thing that we were doing was the contracting for painting and updating our hydrants, getting those spruced up. That's kind of a spring thing, but we've got bids out right now to find a company to do that. We think we have it, but we wanted to cross our T's and dot our I's, and so we went ahead and put it out for bid. The only other thing I'd like to add is our reserve firefighter, and that's your volunteers, and our part-time firefighters are continuing to do well. We have about 5 each of those currently, so that's all going according to plan. And that's it. Unless y'all have any questions.
With those county calls, and I'm sure I should know the answer to this, so is the county fire department actually standing up?
Yes.
I'm asking.
Yes. They have one station, and they've got 2 people on per day, I believe, and Chief Piercy out there right now. So that's.
So is that usually a mutual aid kind of thing
Yes.
all the time?
Yes, sir. They rely heavily on the cities and the town to kind of supplement what they're doing out in the county, because you've got one station and 3 guys. It's kind of hard to cover Tipton County. So all of the departments around here run quite a bit out there to assist.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
We used to paint our own, I believe, the fire hydrants.
I cannot speak to that. I don't know.
I don't think Chief Posey, I know this came up last year, and I know Chief Posey's in the back shaking his head.
We don't used to paint them.
Last time they were painted was when it was.
I'm sorry, Chief.
I can't hear you, Chief.
Last time they were painted was when it was Munford Atoka, which is over 10 years ago.
Okay.
But was that in-house or was that bid out? I thought for some reason we did it.
I think he did in-house, but when you talk about getting the rig and everybody and having to redo uniforms after you done painted over yourself, it wasn't working.
Buy you some Tyvek suits or something.
I think Mr. Bill was thinking about doing it, but how many fire hydrants was it?
600.
600 of them? So, just kidding with you, Mr. Bill. Any other questions for Chief McMillan? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Oh, I have one other. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Lieutenant Stroud brought me this letter. His mother wanted to read this to y'all, but we kind of lost the thing, and then she knew that if she waited till the end of the meeting, it was going to take too long. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to read this letter from Andrew Stroud's mother. I haven't read it yet, so. 13 days ago on February 8th around midnight, I had to call 911 because my husband was having severe chest pains. Within 10 minutes of my 911 call, fire engine 13 pulled up and first responders were already running an EKG before the ambulance arrived. It was determined that my husband was having a heart attack and he was transported to Methodist North Hospital. He ended up in the cath lab where it was determined that he had 100% blockage of his left anterior descending artery. The doctor put in a stent, and he told me more than once that Chris was fortunate that he got quick medical care. The heart attack that he had is often called the widowmaker, and statistically only 12% of people survive. He is here tonight by the grace of God and the quick treatment that he received from the highly qualified first responders. We would especially like to recognize and thank Lieutenant Paramedic Matt Taylor, Brett Kirk, EMT, Dean Edgar, EMT, Tyler Brindley, Paramedic, and Jason Bergerson, Advanced EMT. We've all heard the phrase that time saves lives. I'd like to break it down a little further and state that minutes, and in this case seconds, saved his life. The quick response times from the call to the 911 dispatch operator to the Atoka Fire Department to arrival at the hospital are all relative to my husband's survival. I know that not all towns have paramedics on their fire department. Atoka is blessed to have highly qualified firefighter paramedics on every shift. This is so important. Advanced medical treatment can be started before the ambulance arrives, which improves survival rates. I want to thank the board for funding that you've allocated to the fire department in the past, and would encourage you to continue prioritizing funding of our first responders so they can continue protecting what matters. And it's true, Atoka is a great place to call home.
Awesome. Lieutenant, could you please convey to your mother how, that was awesome?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Parks and Recreation, Ms. Gordon.
Good evening. All right, so a few things. If you have any questions about the numbers on there, feel free to ask. Mostly we're just kickstarting all of our spring stuff. Maggie's actually up top doing coaches meetings for softball. So soccer and softball practices will start next week. We've got really good numbers. I know we were well over the 200 mark for soccer, and then I think getting close to 300 mark and well over that for softball, so we have really good numbers as usual for that. The food truck festival is going really well. We have a lot of attendance, 20 food trucks, which is pretty close to our very first event we ever had. I think we had 22. So we've got quite a bit of good, all kind of different food. So I was very particular to make sure we didn't have too much of the same thing. Vendor-wise, which is something we added a few food truck festivals in. I have 26, which that's also pretty good. Again, that'll be on March 11th at Nancy Lane Park from 10 to 5. The same morning, we will also have our bunny brunch. March 11th is a little early, but with Barbecue Fest and spring break and all that jazz, we decided to do it early and give us a little room for rain-out days if that happens. We changed up bunny brunch last year. We got a new bunny. The old bunny was a bit scary looking. So I found a more attractive looking bunny. He wears a vest with polka dots on it and everything, real cute. And then we do an egg hunt and versus doing a basket now. So we kind of changed it up and brunch. So brunch, picture with the bunny, and you do an egg hunt. We have several signed up for that already too. I didn't check the exact number, but I know it was quite a few last time I looked. And then the last thing, of course, is Barbecue Fest. That's a big part of what we're doing right now. We did get an additional whole hog sponsor to give us 2 total, Drango. And so we have Drango and Ritter Communications, along with several other lower level sponsors. That's all I've got if you don't have any questions.
Thank you very much. Well, we have.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to start back up with the weather permitting the pop-up farmers?
Yes, so it will actually start in May. So typically farmers markets run from May to November. So I do already have it available online to register and have sent it out. And some of those vendors are going to come to the food truck festival too. So, because a lot of them, like the fresh food ones are better in May, but there's some that actually do like home baking type goods like tamales and stuff like that. So they can make that really any time of the year. So some will come to March and then we'll kind of take a break for April. Mostly because just Barbecue Fest is just like nothing else can happen when that's going on. It's just really hard. And then May, and it'll be every second Saturday till the end of November.
And that'll be right across the street over there.
Yes, sir. All right, thank you.
Chief Anthony Rudolph.
Yes, sir. So in front of you, you have your numbers for up to February of the 5th. I was having a little trouble this time getting this report out because all the numbers were coming in like little polka dots, but I just wanted to make sure that y'all could see them, but it looks like I'm the one having trouble seeing them. So we're doing pretty good though thus far. It's this early in the year, the numbers can rise high, so we'll try to fill you in a little bit later as we fix these numbers out. I tried to keep the package small this time, so I wouldn't have to talk as much. We're continuing our efforts in training. You can see we had 3 in January, and I believe that's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Public Works, Mr. Harvey Ellis.
Good evening, Board. You have my report. I'll answer any questions on the statistics if you have those. If not, I would like to give you a quick update on the ARPA project, the new roundabout, as we had discussed in previous meetings. The town engineer has confirmed with TDOT that they do not foresee any problem permitting that project when we get to that point. And he has also confirmed the construction estimate. I think the $300,000 that we had discussed is on point. It's right in the ballpark of where it should be. But just for information purposes, the design costs and other costs are going to raise that probably another $100,000. So I wanted to get that out to you guys ahead of time so you wouldn't be shocked when we get to that point. Secondly, I'm glad to announce the Rosemark sidewalk project to Atoka Elementary began today, actually this morning. So pending weather delays, that should be completed within a week. They made quite a bit of progress today. They got formed up quite a bit of it, if you saw it, if you drove by. So that's a good thing. That's been a long time coming, so glad to see that. The Grace Culvert replacement, Grace Avenue, it's out for bids. That bid will be opened here at Town Hall on March the 3rd at 3 p.m. With that being said, there are quite a few culvert bids you'll be seeing coming up. We have quite a few more that will be going out in the next few weeks. So the street bid, that's a big one. We've been working on that quite a bit. It goes out this Friday, and it's opened March the 17th at 2 o'clock. I did not bring a list. I can email you guys a list of those streets if you'd like. And lastly, I want to thank the fire department staff. They trained Public Works last week on basic CPR and AED, and they did just a professional job. They were 100 spot on, 100%. They did a great job. It was Lieutenant Hall and Firefighter Phillips. So I just wanted to take a minute and recognize those guys. And I will not tell you which one of them had a polka song ringtone, so I'll leave you to figure that out for yourself. But that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
I think the list of streets would be appreciated.
Okay.
Director Ellis.
I'm assuming we're starting with the list of streets that were supposed to happen in the fall.
Oh, that's definitely on the list, yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's a pretty extensive list. I think you'll be pleased to see.
Harvey, on all the culverts that are starting to go south right now, is it good to go ahead and replace them with more culverts, or is there a better option that we could be? Is that something that you've explored yet, or?
The only thing we looked into is replacing the type of culvert, or corrugated metal now, which have a lifespan of about 20 years. Obviously, they were all installed close to the same time because they appear to be failing all at the same time. So we're going back with HDPE plastic pipes. So. That's it.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Miscellaneous items from the mayor, the board of aldermen, and the town administrator. Just as a point of information, Director Ellis and myself had a Zoom meeting today with a company that provides water leak insurance, water leak adjustments. We're in the first processes. There'll be a meeting with the Public Works Committee to go over the details of it, but I think it could be something very good for the citizens of Atoka. If you had I hate to say catastrophic event, but if you had a flood or something like that in your house, you could at least, you wouldn't have to worry about having to pay for all the water that flooded your house. So I think that's all I've got. Board of Aldermen.
I'd like to thank Mike Smith for serving on the planning commission for so long. He did a wonderful job, and we're gonna miss him. But I welcome Mr. Peters. I think that was excellent.
And Mr. Smith, he really enjoyed his position, but he just felt it was time to spend more time with his grandkids and grandchildren, and can't argue with that. So there we go. Anything else from the board? Mr. Town Administrator.
Just a couple of brief items. We're working as we're developing the 24 budget. I think I sent some information out to you all about capital improvement plans, so we're working with them to get a capital improvement plan moving forward. I did want to also mention and thank both Alderwoman Renfro and Alderman Giannini as chairs of the Public Safety and the Finance and Administration Committee. We're moving things forward so that as the standing committees, that the board members are more engaged and the chairs of each of those committees are more engaged in providing a written report. I know it takes extra time on the chair's behalf, and the Public Works Committee will have their share coming soon. So we'll be moving forward with that. Along those same lines, I'm going to be proposing some times so that we can start setting some standing committee meetings for those three committees. Any objections to, generally speaking, the first Tuesday of each month? Rationale for that is we typically do our agenda prep with the mayor on the first Tuesday of the month for the following Tuesday's meeting. Thought maybe that might be an opportune time to try to consider scheduling some of those standing committees so that we know that you all are meeting, each committee's meeting at a particular time of the day. And then, of course, if there's no business to conduct, we can always cancel. And I'll send out some times and see what y'all think to each committee member. So I didn't have much more than that. I think that our department directors did a great job updating you on the ARPA and all the things I had on my list, so they covered that. So now I'm going to put Miss Debbie on the spot.
We had a position out for the HR generalist, as y'all know, and we held several interviews, and we have selected April Corsi. She lives in Atoka, and she has accepted the position, and she'll be starting on March the 13th. So
Excellent.
glad to get that process taken care of.
I love when we hire people that live in the town.
Yes.
Not that there's anything wrong with you,
Right.
but.
She comes with experience. She has a degree in business administration and HR, so she should really work out really well. And thank you for allowing that position to be with self-preservation.
All right, we come to the point of our agenda of citizens' concerns, and it looks like we had a couple of names, but they've been crossed out. So, Mr. Matt. I wasn't going to say anything. So, we have no citizens' concerns tonight, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Well,
Sorry.
The couple of email, do we discuss those, citizens concerns that came across the email?
There were not any meeting questions submitted.
Right.
Per the resolution, so
Gotcha.
we don't have any questions to read.
Okay.
Per the meeting question submission. We have that email set up so that residents can submit for questions to be read at the meetings, and we have not had any this month.
Okay.
If you ever need to ask your alderman or myself, you can send it to alderman@townofatoka.com or mayor@townofatoka.com. Very easy. And everybody on the board gets that. So, just a point of information. All right, we have a motion to adjourn by Alderman Renfro. We have a second by Alderman Harper. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?